You're listening to Excess Gaming Podcast, a podcast for gamers by gamers, with your hosts Xander Scullion and James Gruesome, bringing you something old, something new, and a little bit of nostalgia too.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Excess Gaming Podcast. This is episode 65. We're recording this on June 7th, and I'm one of your hosts, Xander Scullion, and joined with me is my wonderful co-host, Mr. James Gruesome. What's up, James?
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the show of the working men. We've been working, seems like, quite a bit lately, and it seems like it's been a little while since we've done a show. I'm not sure how long, because you lose track of time with work sometimes, but it's rather early in the morning for us, and it's pretty awesome, though. It feels good to be back. Feels good to chat with Xander and everybody out there. So I hope you all are doing well on whatever day you may be listening to this too.
Yeah, we both been really busy with work, and I know sometimes it sounds like a broken record when we get back on. It's like, man, it feels like it's been forever, and but yeah, I mean, like, we haven't been able to do our recordings on usual Tuesdays because, you know, I've been out of town with my job. Like, I've been staying in hotel rooms and stuff like that. It's funny because the cover of this podcast episode is Shovel Knight, because I've been shoveling like trenches to put in new water lines in grocery stores. We've been doing all these remodeling with construction, so I was like, you know, I always try to find like a really cool thumbnail for each episode, and I couldn't really think of anything, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna look for like Shovel Knight. I'm putting Shovel Knight up there. I should.
You'll actually have the saber-tooth physique, you know, when it's all.
Oh yeah, man, I've been like so sore, but enough about me. We got a couple of gaming things to talk about. Like I was telling James earlier, I've been so busy with work that gaming news wise, I've been kind of behind. I know E3 is right around the corner, and there's already been some leaks of E3. You know, people talking about some of the games that could be coming out, and mainly the leaks I've been seeing has been from Nintendo. I think like every year they always come out with leaks for Nintendo, and some of them are right, some of them are wrong. Some of them I was reading from the list are definitely, I'm like, this is too good to be true. I don't know about this.
You ever wonder if Nintendo just kind of like stirs some stuff out there just to get people talking sometimes too, you know?
I'm pretty sure they do. Definitely.
I'd like to be on the Nintendo BS team, you know, just like make little random snippets to throw out there to get people either, you know, happy or complaining, because it's going to be one of the two with the gaming community lots of times, you know. We're passionate, that you can say.
Yeah, I think it's funny though, because I mean, some of these leaks, like they have like these official papers. There's like, don't share with anybody, the official E3 leak of Nintendo, and it clearly looks like someone went on like Microsoft Word processor and like printed out like a picture of like Nintendo E3 off like clip art and like put all these little game titles down, but
got like a wax seal stuck on it, you know, official. Do not open.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Of course, you know, some of the stuff they're talking about is you know, Star Fox, and I think definitely they're gonna be bringing up Star Fox. But one of the rumors that they've said with Star Fox was that it was going to introduce a new style of the Wii U gamepad, which I thought was really interesting because that's been a rumor since Mario Kart 8. That they were going to come out with a new version of the gamepad, like sleeker and maybe more battery efficient, and
like an actual a new gamepad.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that I had not heard. I mean, I know we're always up for more gamepad ability towards games, but you know, sticking out a newer design of one, you know, especially with battery life, because I hear some complaints of people where they're like, you know, it's like I'd like to play Wii, but it's like, man, I gotta go charge up my pad, and, you know, find it, dust it off, and you get things like that. But, like, you know, having a new design, that's something. And, you know, they get criticized a lot, whether it's, you know, different versions of the handhelds, which I always thought have been nice upgrades. So I can only imagine them doing a pretty good upgrade of a new gamepad. I think it really could be cool.
Yeah, especially a longer battery life. I mean, it's probably my biggest complaint of the gamepad, because I like the gamepad. I think it's comfortable. Yeah, it's a lot bigger, but I mean, I grew up playing the Game Gear. It doesn't really feel that different to me. But the battery life is really, really kind of bad. I mean, I think it lasts like 4 hours or so before it starts to go out. And, I don't normally game for 4 hours straight, but just like if I'm gaming and I game for like an hour a day, that's like after a while I have to start charging it. So.
And mine, on the other hand, all of my stuff is kind of conglomerated really close, and I have lots of plugins in my walls, so mine tend kinds to stay plugged in, so I don't run into a whole lot of battery issue. But if it has been unplugged, like I needed the plug for something else, like a PSP that needs some charging, or I'm sorry, the PS Vita, that's the one that needs more charging. I might switch out a couple ones, and then you go to hook up that Wii U, and it's like dead, and it's like, man,
yeah,
oh well.
Yeah, there's been so many times I went to go play Wii U, and the moment I turned it on, the controller wouldn't turn on, and I'm like, oh, I gotta charge it. But yeah, they've been talking about that, Star Fox, New Paper Mario, they've been talking about that as well, and there's been so many rumors the New Paper Mario that it's no doubt they're going to come out with the new one. And I didn't get to play the last one. I know you played it, James. What did you think about the last Paper Mario, the sticker game?
Oh, the one on the 3DS, right?
Yeah.
That one, it was pretty cool. I will admit I'd kind of lost a little bit of interest after a while. The idea with collecting the stickers, and the stickers give you your certain abilities or spells, in a sense, however you want to call them. But you have like a limited amount. So there is quite a bit of strategy to it on, well, this one works really good. I want to try it out on something else, but I should save it for a more powerful enemy, or maybe an enemy that only takes that certain kind of sticker. And on the one hand, it gives you that, kind of like Pokemon aspect of, collecting them all. Like, it's fun. Castlevania, collecting the souls, where it's in the Aria or Dawn of Sorrow games.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes that's an extra fun aspect to the game. Maybe for a game that doesn't have quests. Some people like to complete, all the quests, everything they can. And this one gives you something, a little bit different, whether it be a soul or a sticker. It's really neat. You have an album. You can equip certain ones of the ones you want to use. And I did enjoy it the time I played. As I admit before, I'm a victim of short attention span. So sometimes I might play it for a bit and then switch to something else, and I feel kind of lost when I go back. But still, quite enjoyable. And I guess, the one before that would have been the one on the Wii, correct?
Yeah, there was one on the Wii.
It's another one I didn't complete, but I really enjoyed that one. Just the way the screens would flip. You could kind of go, you could change the aspect of it and kind of go behind an area, find a secret, maybe behind a bookshelf or a set of steps you wouldn't normally see. Paper Mario to me has always been just a really fun game. I've always enjoyed, whether you connect them to the Mario RPG, or, to me, they're all in the same family.
Yeah.
Or the ones on the, the DS or the GBA. A lot of them they're just great, Mario RPGs that add that nice little Mario element into it. And I'd be pretty excited about a new Wii U one. I imagine whether they implement the gamepad on it more, or just in general how it will be. I think it'll be a good quality game, and one I know I'm definitely looking forward to. They have some nice, sounding Mario titles coming out.
Yeah, I mean, they just to give my little brief about the Paper Mario series, I've always enjoyed a lot of the Mario RPGs. The Mario and Luigi games on the GBA and DS, they had so much fun dialogue, and the same with the Paper Mario series. So I'm definitely looking forward to a new Paper Mario. There's still a lot of Paper Marios I haven't played. The only Paper Mario I ever played was actually Thousand Year Door on GameCube, and I had a lot of fun playing that. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's the one I think I've possibly seen, because my brother, always had the Mario GameCube titles. So I've seen that. I'm not most familiar. The 64 one is one lately I've kind of been wanting to go back to because I got my hands on it, and I remember,
Nice.
because that was kind of the second one after Mario RPG, really.
Yeah.
And it's another one I think sometimes you don't hear about quite as much. But like I said, I've really had a blast with all those. So if you always wanted to get into an RPG and you're a fan of Mario and just the good humor involved and the characters, definitely I'd say you could win with any of those titles. If it's an RPG is something you want to get into and you dig Mario, check out any of those. Some still range on a little bit higher price, but despite which one you get, if you can find a good deal or whatnot, check them out. I think you'll really find something to enjoy in there.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the other news. Now, you were talking about the Vita earlier. It's reminded me. Man, I'm probably going to have to be getting a Vita soon because, for one, the Vita TV that you hook up to your television, it's like $40. And, I mean, that's kind of... That really makes me curious because, you can get the Vita TV for $40 and play Vita games and PSP games and whatever else is on their PSN market, you can play on your TV. That's pretty cool. They also mentioned that they are discontinuing the first edition Vitas, the originals.
Those would be the one I believe, like I have, that are said to have the better screen in them. From what I understand, I've never compared. I've always complimented the Sony screens on their handhelds. I've always thought they look beautiful. And
yeah,
I mean,
even the first PSPs, their screens were awesome.
They definitely have managed to, keep up that something. They always just seem bigger to me, bigger while still being quite compact. They don't have the dual screens like Nintendo does, but there's just something about it. Extra sharp, extra crisp. You can't beat playing old classic, especially PS1 games on there, especially expensive ones that might be hard to get, and you don't mind a rather cheap, we'd say, I think average is around, $6. Hard to beat. I've got a Lundra waiting on mine when I get in the mood to play it, which is a game, I know it's a follow-up to Landstalker kind of.
Oh, such a hard
Genesis,
game.
Which I loved. Landstalker, man. It was kind of like Zelda on Genesis to me. And the one I just mentioned that just slipped my mind on PS1 just seemed to be one that kind of followed in that same stack. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. And it's, at the time, yes, Vita is a great spot to play classic PS1 games on. They have some really great independent games on it. Newer games sometimes I think can be lacking, but I think you really have to search for a lot of those. The hardcore people that are into Vita know the great games. I believe our friend Josh Flore, Games of War, I've seen him post up some pictures of games that are like, whoa, I don't know anything about that, but if you're into the scene and you look hard enough, I think you're able to find some really great games for it. And it's still an underrated, underappreciated system that Sony just, I don't think they put their full gamut of power into it that they could have, to where it could have been a little bit more competition to the 3DS. Right now it just kind of stands on its own.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because like people that don't own a Vita, they automatically look at the Vita as a failure, but people that own the Vita absolutely love it. And what it kind of makes me think of is it kind of makes me think of like some of the consoles back in the day that, now people are discovering and people are just now being like, man, this is freaking awesome. Like the TurboGrafx, when the TurboGrafx was out originally, it was competing with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Not many people knew about the TurboGrafx, and if you knew about TurboGrafx, a lot of people were just turned off by it. And now it's like people love the TurboGrafx. So people are like collecting for the PC Engine. People are saying that it was a very underappreciated console. I could see that with the PS Vita. in a couple of years. I could definitely see some people being like, you know what, the Vita, that was a good handheld. That was freaking awesome. I hate that Sony didn't implement the things that could have been the best of the Vita. Because, I mean, right now is the best time to collect for the Vita, because a lot of the games are getting cheap, but they're also getting hard to find.
Definitely. With the cheap end, I've bought a few just on the fact that, hey, it's a Vita game. I wouldn't mind having some more. It's $5. I'm going to check it out. And one was a fighting game. I can't remember the name of it, and it's across the room.
Was it the Blaze Blue game?
No, not one of the Blaze Blue. Those have always been pretty cool. This one was you could kind of like put your face onto a fighter.
Whoa.
It's pretty cheesy, but honestly, dude, for the price, for $5, I really enjoyed it. I always like either a good or crappy fighter sometimes, and it fits into both. It's a great one to check out. And I think on the other end, some of the, probably a lot more there's probably some really cool RPGs on there.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that see out the collections, the things that come with them sometimes, they have nice pack-ins. And those are the ones that are probably a little bit more higher on the price range and hard to find. So those are ones people miss out on, because you might see a game like that and be like, wow, that looks cool, but I could get like 4 or 5 of these cheap-ass ones over here. So I might go with that, but it's definitely one. There's going to be some high-priced games on there, I think, as far as collectability market as time goes on. And definitely if they get cheaper and you love handhelds, or maybe, like I said, you want some PS1 games on the go, because they have a great selection of ones on there. One I'll talk about a little bit later in the games we've got playing, but they'll put some very expensive games on there that you can get for quite a bit cheaper and get to experience it. If you want to collect it to have it, hey, we understand. But if you just want to check that game out, paying $5-6 is, that's an old school rental price right there. And yet you get to own it in a sense in digital format, but still a good way to check things out.
Yeah, I've been seriously debating myself on getting a Vita, because, when I went to GameStop to pick up Splatoon last week, and, I was just looking around, because it's been a while since I've been in my GameStop, and, they had a used Vita, and it was only $150. And I was like, wow, that's not really that bad of a deal, And I was thinking about, because there are some games on the Vita I want to play. Like, I want to play the last Ys game that came out. I want to play that. I mean, there's some RPGs, and I know Tearaway was like a really hot app game on the Vita, but now they're getting a port of it on the PS4. But I'd still like to, if I really like it, maybe I'd like to take it on the go with me. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, I just love buying handhelds and consoles and collecting games for them. So, I mean, it's only a matter of time before I end up having it. That's just the way it is.
And it's a good way, because they have quite a bit of a different array of games, I would say, than the DS or 3DS. You're going to find, I'd almost say in a sense, maybe some more high-quality games, because as the DS and 3DS are, slightly, we all own them as adults and we love them, but they can be marketed a little bit more towards kids. So you get lots of shovelware and kiddie games that can kind of bog up some of the good ones. Whereas Vita doesn't really have that much. It seems to be a little bit more geared for a more adult player on the go.
Yeah, it was a lot like the PSP.
Yeah.
And man, the PSP was freaking awesome. I think the main problem with these Sony handhelds is not the games, it's not the hardware, it's just Sony. Like, Sony doesn't really know how to market handhelds. Like the Vita, they've spent more time marketing the Vita as a add-on remote for the PS4 than they have been like, hey, this is a handheld console. You can play some games on the go. You can play this, you can play that. I mean, they've talked a lot about the indies. They're like, this is going to be the handheld if you want to play indies, but as you and I both know, indies can only go but so far. They need some big names, some exclusives, not just ports, not like Borderlands and shit like that. We need, something a little special to push it in there. But I mean, I honestly don't really know how much longer the Vita is going to be staying alive. just because the way it's going. So
Yeah, see some of the articles for, that made it seem, and I know it was kind of misleading because it first kind of turned into, the older models of Vita are, will no longer be produced. And then some people took it as just Vita support in the US is going to be gone. And then Japan and, is the place to go for a lot of the games. But I don't think the games necessarily are going to fade out as much just because I'll put it this way, there's probably a hell of a lot more Vita games than I or a lot of people realize. And there's probably some really great ones. So if anybody's listening, actually, and, has a Vita, is hardcore into it, and wants to post up on the XS Gaming page about some, really cool Vita games I'm missing out, or anybody else may be, please, if you have like a, whether it's a Let's Play or just a little review or just type something up, say, hey, this game rules. Let us know, please, because it's always nice to find new games on a system like that. It's comfortable, it's nice, it's a beautiful screen. It's a really good one that has not and will never reach its full potential, unless later on it's one I could see maybe if people are able to get them on there, like homebrew games. If you can hack it and get some really good stuff on there. I think it has a lot more limitless capabilities than just besides being, on-the-go player for PS4 games or an extra controller or such. It's a really nice system, and finding one at a price. Like I said, I scored mine, $150 with a case, memory card, and 4 games, which only 2 I played. Man, it was still a great deal, and I'm really glad I have it.
Yep, and of course it still supports PS Plus, so you can get some free games every month.
Definitely. PS Plus is great. Always check it out. See, they have a little thing, what's on PS Plus? You can just check and see, like, hey, that's free. I'll get that. I have had to get quite a few memory cards for my Vita. I think I have 3, because the first one was very small. I bought a second one that was a little bigger, and then I went bigger one, and the memory cards can be quite expensive too, which is another little.
Yeah, that was one of the only things that's kind of shut me off. But I think they've gotten a little bit more affordable, and I think there might be actually like third-party memory cards now that might be a little cheaper. Because at first they were just Sony brand, and they were like, for this one right here is like $80. I'm like, I'm not spending $80 on a memory card. That's crazy.
Yeah, most of us won't spend $50 on a controller, much less $80. Card, but yeah, third party. Sometimes Best Buy will have sales. Check out different places. Just get one that has at least a good amount of memory on it, because you're gonna end up using it fairly quickly, and then you'll be disappointed.
Well, that's
and
a good thing.
To mark what games are on. Yeah, to keep mark what games, because I don't know what's on all my memory cards. I just pop it in and see what's on there and say, well, I think I'll play this.
It's like the old PS1 days when you could only use like 15 blocks for memory card. I remember I had like 6 memory cards for my original PlayStation because because some games were just, specifically for one memory card. Like I had one memory card that had like all my like Symphony of the Night saves or Final Fantasy saves where I had started new games and did different things, and that's what it kind of made me think of.
And the horror story I had of, renting Diablo 1 on PS1, and it filled up 99 blocks.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I can't play this without erasing my life. And they had no sympathy for me. And that was when I finally got to play Diablo 3 on PS3 many years later, and I really loved Diablo 3, so it was nice to finally get to play that after that debacle of 99 blocks. How many kids have more than one? Well, some have a couple, but it's like, that's my one card, man.
That's too funny. I still need to play Diablo 3. It looks like a lot of fun. Now, some more gaming news. Speaking of the Vita, before we segue from that, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night is fully funded. The campaign's over now.
Damn it.
It's fully funded in the sense that there's going to be physical copies for the PS4, Xbox One. They're going to be making it for the Wii U and also the PS Vita. So that's going to be really, really interesting. I cannot wait Of course, I'll have to wait 2 years before we play it. And also in September, Mighty Number 9 is finally coming out, and Mighty Number 9 will also have physical copies as well. The Bloodstained and Mighty Number 9 are put out by the same publisher of Deep Silver, and they're the guys who are going to be publishing the game, so we'll be able to get physical copies. And it feels like it's been a journey for Mighty Number 9. It's been such a journey. I can't wait to finally play it, because I mean, like, for 2 years it's been like so many ups and downs. There's times that I've been very pissed off at Concept. There's times that I've been really excited for them. So I'm just anxious to finally sit down and play the game and just play it.
It's one I'd like to ask you is, you know, since you were a backer and you see probably a little bit more of the goings on about it, are most people still excited, or are there a good chunk of people who are kind of pissed because, like, it's not here yet?
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, there's some people that are really excited about it. There's some people that are just really pissed off. And one of the reasons why people are kind of pissed off, and I can understand this, I'm kind of upset about it myself, because when I backed the project, I paid $60. Now, with $60, I got a digital copy of the game on my choice of platform, which I picked Wii U, and I got 2 retro boxes, like just boxes. One was a Japanese version, like a Famicom version, and the other one, no, I just got one box. I'm trying to remember everything that came with this bundle. I got one box. I got the Japanese box for it. I believe I got some art, some of the soundtrack, you know, stuff like that, and my name in the credits. I got that as well. But the thing is, it's like now, since it's coming out in retail, you can pre-order it now for $60, and I think it's an extra $30. I think it's like $100 pre-order. You get like a figure. You get a Mighty Number 9 figure with it, and a poster. You know, it's like these pre-order bonuses are kind of like, I'm seeing them, and I can see where some of these people that has kickstarted and backed this project 2 years ago are kind of like, well, where the fuck's my figure? Where's my poster? You know, it's kind of shitty.
Maybe it's a surprise coming in the mail. But I tell you what, man, since I didn't back the Mighty Number 9, when it comes out and I get it and I can get the pre-order with the statue and the poster, man, I will hook you up.
Hell yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
Just because that just seems only fair, you know? Man, you've been waiting, and I'm just going to wait till the damn thing comes out. And then, so yes, man, don't worry. I will hook you up.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. That's really cool. I'm such a sucker for that kind of stuff, and I can see where some of the Kickstarter people get kind of pissed off about that. I mean, especially since it got pushed back. It was supposed to come out back in April of this year.
Yeah.
But then they were like, you know, sorry guys, it's taking a little longer. But the good news is we got Deep Silver as our publisher, so they will have physical copies. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy that
some people seem to have been kind of angry from what I've picked up.
Oh yeah.
On the facts of whether it's Deep Silver with Mighty Number 9 or Bloodstained. It's just,
well,
you know.
Deep Silver has kind of a shitty backstory, especially for Wii U owners. Because Deep Silver themselves have said in the past that the Wii U and Nintendo is not our market. So for the longest time they didn't support they didn't support the Wii U, and it kind of goes back to the whole like gaming politics, you know, because we knew Igarashi, he when he left Konami, he was wanting to start working some games with Nintendo, mainly the Metroid series, and he was also interested in Zelda. Well, he mentioned it, nothing came out, and when he made Bloodstained, he said it was going to come out physical copies for PS4, Xbox One, had nothing to say about the Wii U. And when people asked, he was like, oh, well, yeah, you know, the Wii U is so much harder to program for, and it's going to take us too much. And then all of a sudden you find out that the Wii U version was a part of the $3 million back, you know? So
Yeah.
so of course it got funded because a lot of Wii U owners wanted the game, but then they found out it was like going to be published by Deep Silver, and they're like, fuck. So right now we don't even know if the Wii U is actually going to get a physical copy, which would be kind of shitty. And with that being said, it could go into almost what Simply Mad Studios did with Project Cars. This was another Kickstarter back in 2011. It was a car simulator, and when they first made the Kickstarter, they had the game supported on Xbox 360, PS3, and Wii U. And a lot of Wii U owners wanted this game because, I mean, this was like a really good racing game, and it looked beautiful. So a lot of the Kickstarter support was from the Wii U. And they put all the money towards that. And then what happened is they pushed back the game's release because they decided that, you know what, it's now it's 2013. I think it was 2013 or 14. They're like, we're going to put this out on Xbox One and PS4. And we're still going to come out with the one on the Wii U. Well, they ended up coming out for the PS4 and Xbox One, but still no Wii U. And then the publishers were like, well, you know what? If Wii U owners want this racing game, they will wait for it. And it's still not out for the Wii U. And that's really what pissed people off. So that's kind of like what people are thinking about with the whole Deep Silver thing. They're like, we hope that it doesn't get delayed. Like, I could see Bloodstained coming out 2 years from now, and it comes out for PS4 and Xbox One, and then nothing comes out for the Wii U, and they could say some bullshit like, you know, oh, well, you know, since it's so much harder to develop for the Wii U, we're taking our extra special precautious time to make sure this is the best port that's out there, and oh yeah, it's going to be digital. You know, that'd be such a slap in the face. That'd be so fucked up.
I can see with so many people, you know, it'd almost be nice sometimes, like if they had a choice on Kickstarter, like what, you know, which system you're supporting, you know, and then you could get a good grounds for who wants that. And if something happens to where it's not going to come out on that system, like this time, like they could just either be delaying or BSing, you never know. It's almost like, oh, you could get your money back if this thing's not coming out for that system. It might not be feasible to work that way, but it's just awful disappointing, and I feel bad for people that pay the same amount of money that everybody else does and want it for their system, because, you know, a lot of people still have Wii U's. A lot of people like to get those just to have games and fun, and, you know, to miss out on certain ones. It's just disappointing and disheartening, and it can change people's opinions on supporting these Kickstarters for the future.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, in the long run, it really hurts the whole kickstarting aspect, because someone has a bad experience. And honestly, you know, I was very, and I'm still very stoked about Bloodstained. And, you know, the moment I found out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a Kickstarter I will support. But honestly, I was kind of on the fence when I first was thinking about it because of my experience with Mighty No. 9. You know, with Mighty No. 9 in concept, you know, pulling a Capcom and delaying the game and trying to have a second backing for voice actors and trying to have this cartoon and talking about DLC before the game's even out. I mean, luckily backers get DLC first for free. They don't have to pay for it. But it was just like, wow, you guys are doing exactly like Capcom. You guys are pulling the same stunts here. And the whole reason why I was backing this is because this was a big middle finger to big companies. And I don't know. Like I said, I try to treat every Kickstarter like it's something new, and I keep on telling myself 2 years from now, Igarashi, please don't screw this up and make me be like, oh, I fucking hate this guy. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. For him, it's hard. I love him so much. It's hard to think of that happening, but it's one of those that, you know, hopefully the things are going to run along. We know with Kickstarter, we all take a chance, and I think sometimes these companies don't expect to get so much. And at the end of it, when they get so much, I think a lot of it comes from wanting to give the fans as much as possible for what they got, because they saw this and they loved this, and we want to do them right. So hopefully, even with a little bit of extra time constraints, not too many, we'll get a really great package, whether it's number 9 or Bloodstained, and it'll be worth the wait, hopefully, in the long run.
Definitely. Now, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to play some video game music for you guys. But when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about some gaming news, some really interesting gaming news, especially since we were talking about Mighty Number 9. And also, James is going to be telling us more about this new retro console that's cart-based. It's going to be coming out. You recently heard an interview, James, that kind of shed some more light that sounded really, really interesting.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to shed some light and some snippets, and if you want to hear the full interview, it's on the Retro League podcast. I think it's their second one up. It's just called Interview, and they interview Mike Kennedy, who is the maker of this, and he's also one of the editors and publishers of Retro Magazine, which is our own US's very awesome retro magazine that if you guys have not checked out yet, I highly suggest it, because if you love retro, and it even goes into some new retro themed games, it's a quality, great magazine. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that, where you can also get this in some stores that carry it now too, so it should be a fun time.
And we are back, guys. That was some really cool music from Ys 2. And we were talking about Mighty Number 9, and it just reminded me of some more news with Capcom. For years, Capcom has deserted the Mega Man series because of the absence and the departure of Keiji Mifune. Well, they've announced, they didn't say who, but they announced that there's a new producer dedicated to bringing back Mega Man, and also the cartoon company behind the Ben 10 series is coming out with a brand new Mega Man cartoon.
Really?
Now, this is interesting because, Mighty Number 9's also getting a cartoon, and they're also coming out with the game. This is kind of like a competition on who how are they going to win these fans over. And, it's funny because it's very divided about this whole Mega Man thing. A lot of people are excited about it, and some people are kind of like, I don't know about this. But my thing about it is this, for years now, people have been complaining to Capcom they need to do something with Mega Man. They need to do something with Mega Man. And, Mighty Number 9 made a lot of its backing because of the hungry Mega Man fans and the absence of Keiji Mifune. I'm like, this is going to be the spiritual successor. And it kind of makes me kind of like, well, what the hell, because these people that are saying they don't know, I'm like, you're the same people that, for years said that Capcom needed to make a new Mega Man. They're making a new Mega Man, and now they're like, I don't know about this. What are your thoughts about this, James? Are you excited about a new Mega Man?
Well, a new Mega Man is always, for like of us, we grew up with him, it's going to hold a special place in our heart. Most of the time you see him, and as you were talking, I was trying to think of, like, what was the really last, the last really good Mega Man?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the 9 and 10 I thought were really great done in the old style. Personally, I loved the ones on the DS. I'm gonna screw up their names, but it has something to do with like ZX, and
Yeah, Mega Man ZX.
they were very, Metroidvania, and a lot of people, from what I heard, didn't like them. Me personally, I enjoyed them. They were a tad bit easier. But I mean, just hearing a new Mega Man, it makes me think, because I know what Mighty Number 9 is going to look like. Like, what would a new Mega Man look like? Is he going to be in 3D? Are they going to keep the 2D style? Is it possibly going to be only handheld, which we know, might lend a bit more to the classic style? It's kind of like you got two of the same things floating around. We know what Mighty Number 9 is. It's a FU. Mega Man's so beloved and a little bit more well known to the hardcores in the community. Depending on the game, I think if they got like a new, younger guy, maybe who was a fan of the old Mega Man games growing up, that we could get something kind of cool. And as far as a cartoon, hey, I'm always willing to check out, a video game cartoon. That Ben 10 show's been on for a long damn time.
It's pretty popular.
Also, with that being either on, Cartoon Network or Nicktoons, it would also lead me to think, not that Mega Man's it's ever been a violent game, but it makes me think it might be a little bit more geared towards kids. And sometimes when I think kiddie games, I think bad games. So I'd hate to see them do that to a big franchise player like that. But, with that, it's like, hey, Inafune, look what we're doing. We're doing Mega Man again. It's like, why? It's like you didn't want to do it before. It's like I could see the same thing with Castlevania. We're going to do Castlevania, Iga. You didn't want to, but now you're doing it, and you're doing it quite well. We're going to do this too. Whereas I think that might fail a little bit more if we've seen the later versions of Castlevania. I thought Lords of Shadow was okay. Part 2, I was not really a fan of, and Mirrors of Fate, it was what it was. I think it was pretty okay, and I enjoyed it, but it was a little bit of a letdown at the same time.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, to me, I look at it this way. I don't want to say that it's going to suck. I don't want to say it's going to rock. The only thing I'm happy about, and the way I've tried to explain to some people, is like we're getting double dips. We're getting both flavors. We're getting Mighty Number 9 and Mega Man. If you're a fan of this genre, this is going to be kind of cool. And I mean, I'm curious to see what Capcom's going to do with it. I mean, especially if they do get a younger producer. I mean, we've seen this with some of the Nintendo games that they've gotten this their garage team developers. They're like the younger developers making games like Splatoon, which I will get into when we talk about games we've been playing recently. But it's a fun game, and it's nice to see some new blood with these older companies, because I think it's something that we've definitely needed, something that's definitely been wanted. So
you need to look at people that are around or near to our age that grew up with things that we grew up with, fans of things we were fans of, and it very well could translate into a lot of these games. I mean, I know some of the younger guys had worked recently like on the Mario Galaxy games, and I think the Super Mario Land and some of those. Maybe not young in consideration to us, but as young as far as to other people on the team. And they had a lot of those guys working on those games, and I thought they all turned out quite well.
And you know what? Keiji Mifune started out as a nobody as well. So did Igarashi. So did Miyamoto. Like all these big developers that we look upon and we look at. Hideo Kojima. We hold all these people in really high regards. But when they started out, they were nobodies. They were the very lowest on the totem pole in these developing companies, and they built themselves up. And we could be seeing that right now. So I mean, like I'm very excited about it. I'm very curious about it. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. And I think what else we're going to get into, we're going to get into a little bit of YouTube talk, because this was a segment I've been talking about for a while, doing YouTube shout-outs, and kind of talk about some YouTube channels that we've been watching or that you guys should check out, kind of to help the gaming community, and also because I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch YouTube more than I do television, and there's some channels out there that I think really need to get some recognition. You know, I'm going to try to stick to the YouTube channels that have like a little bit lower subscriber count, and it's not because their channels suck. It's just because there's not a lot of people that know about them, because the gaming community is, you know, a gaming channel is a dime a dozen now. I mean, it really gets lost with, you know, all the other ones, especially the bigger channels like Markiplier, PewDiePie, you know, all these Let's Players that, you know, they just have millions and millions of subscribers, AVGN. A lot of people don't know about some of the other channels other than these guys because they're more popular and they pop up on YouTube more. So...
And it's a hard thing. It's like you said, it's hard to stand out, but, you know, anytime if, you know, somebody hears us and is able, you know, they get 1 or 2 more subscribers that check out the channel, that can multiply and multiply. It's like tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And like I said, a lot of these shows are good, and I think a lot of people get discouraged because they might not have a lot of views or likes. But at the end of the day, you got to have fun with it. You got to enjoy doing it. And, you know, whether you got 10 people or 10,000 people, if you really like it and, you know, it's worth the trouble, you can afford to do it, just keep chugging at it because it can always pay off.
Yeah, and that's definitely the best advice I would give as well, especially being a YouTube creator myself. You know, I've been doing it now for almost 4 years. You know, September will be my 4th year doing YouTube, and it's getting around that time for XS Gaming Podcast. We've been doing this since July of 2012. Been doing this, and
it flies by. Do you know how many subscribers you have on your channel now? Is it
on my YouTube? I just hit over 1,300.
Yeah, I remember I was watching one of your videos, and I saw that, and like, I don't know, you know, I see people with millions and hundreds of thousands, but like I saw yours, it's like 1,000. I was like, man, I'm like that, like to me, that's pretty cool. I'm like, that's a good number. I'm like, man, 1,000 people. So, you know, congratulations on that. It's just, you got to keep working at it. You obviously, Xander here, he obviously loves it. You can see he puts care into his videos, and that's why I like them. It's like they're honest. They're just like, here's this. And you check them out, and you get a lot of people. You get some funny moments, but there's no overly, you know, raging and characters. At the end of the day, it's just you talking about what you love, and they can show a passion. There's a lot of guys like that, and they're worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for that. It's crazy because I remember, you know, when I hit my first 100 subscribers, you know, and how good that felt. And, you know, subscriber numbers is just a number for me. You know, like I'm not going to lie, there's times I have felt discouraged, you know, spending so much time making videos, spend so much of your free time editing videos and putting things together, thinking of subjects, trying to make things interesting, because the people you do have viewing your channel, you don't want to let them down, or you don't want to lose their interest. I've had that before, but at the end of the day, it is something that you have to have fun with. It's something that you definitely, you can't just be like, you know, I'm wanting to do this to become internet popular. Like, I don't, that's never been my goal, that I wanted to be making money and become popular on YouTube. It's always been a hobby. It was kind of a curiosity hobby that I even started my channel and this podcast. I mean, this podcast was just kind of like something I thought about one summer. I'm like, you know what, I want to try to do this little podcast thing. And, you know, the first 2 episodes I was by myself, and I was like, I don't know. And then, you know, I was like, well, maybe I should bring some guests on. And that's when you were like my first guest, and you became my co-host. And, you know, we've had a very good journey. We've interviewed a lot of great people on our podcast. You know, it's been fun.
Met great people, you know, great friends. It's something I always, sometimes like I just feel down, don't feel great. It's like you get on here, and it's like a place, it's like I love to talk about games, just talk about fun stuffs in life, sometimes bad stuff. I'm honest with a lot of bad things that go on too. And it's just kind of part of the show. It's a little bit therapy. It's a lot of fun. And like you said, it's ability to meet a lot of cool people, that we interact with and have on the show sometimes. And, interesting people, type of people you never knew before, and you get a better understanding of them. And it's a great outlet. At the end of the day, like you said, it's just got to be fun. You got to enjoy it, or it's probably not worth doing. Don't get into this thing for the money. It's like they say with wrestling. You don't want to get into the money. You want to get into it just because you love doing it. And if you're lucky, maybe money comes down the road, or if not, luckily, you'll still be having fun. Either way, you win.
Exactly. And some of the YouTubers I wanted to talk about, one of them, I've been talking to him on Facebook for a while, and he was on I Got Gameplay before the other podcast that I help out with Michael Burhan, and that's Power Metal Gamer. His name's Tag. He's from Ireland. And, I found his channel through some group pages. I can't really remember because I'm a part of so many group pages on Facebook. But I found his channel, and I watched it. And, first of all, his name, Power Metal Gamer. I was like, I like Power Metal. I like video games, and it was just like, it really caught my eye. So I started watching it. And I really like his channel because it is a genuine channel. It is a channel of someone who loves video games. I mean, he does a lot of the stuff that all of us love. He does unboxings of like limited editions, which is really cool because I can't afford every single limited edition. I'd love to see what comes in some of this stuff or what it looks like. So he'll do unboxings of those. He does gaming reviews. He's reviewed some games that I didn't know about, especially a lot of the digital games. The recent one he did was on Xbox One, and the name's slipping my mind right now, but it was like a RTS, like real-time strategy, like Viking game, and it was really cartoony and cool looking. He did a review on that. He's done some gaming memories. Him and his friend recently uploaded a video where they were talking about some of their favorite video games, and he just built a little main machine, so they're playing arcade games and recording footage of that, and stuff like that's really, really cool. So I definitely would say check out Power Metal Gamer on YouTube, and it's really, really good stuff. I think he's been doing it now for a couple of months. He's reached over 200 subscribers, and I mean, I keep telling the guy, if he keeps up with it, I could see him having 1,000 subscribers or more by the end of this year. I could see it, definitely.
That sounds like an awesome one. I remember you telling me about him, and I was like, man, I gotta check this guy out. Same thing with the name, like you said, that clicks with me.
Yeah, and another one I want to talk about as well is Robert, aka Your Geeky Tipster. And what I like about his channel is he does a little bit of everything. I mean, he does he mostly covers a lot of video games, but he also covers a lot of technology too. Like the very first video I ever saw of him was doing a review of a tablet, of all things. And while I'm not like a big tablet guy, I don't have one myself. I thought it was a really good review, especially since it was a very affordable tablet that he was talking about and being very honest about it. And, he also does a lot of the Loot Crate unboxings, Arcade Block, a lot of those giveaways. He does unboxings of those, taste tests, like he tries different food and stuff. I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. And one of the coolest things I like about his channel as well is him and his wife do videos together. And, it's kind of cool seeing a couple being so passionate about it. Like, I mean, she's really into it, and you can tell she learns a lot from him or vice versa about certain gaming things. And I really like his involvement with the community. Like, he's very open about who he supports, and he shares other people's videos just as much as he shares his own stuff. It's not all about his content. He wants other people to know about other content as well. So to me, that modest, genuine attitude and the passion that he has, like, man, that's a channel that I definitely would recommend. And he just I think he just hit over I want to say he hit over 8,000 subscribers. It might be even more than that now. But yeah, definitely check his stuff out.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. There was one I had recently found. I don't know if he's a bigger one or has had a lot of subscribers. It was one called The Backlog.
Oh yeah.
Where, just go back over and just hitting over some, odd games, or maybe ones he's had and hasn't played. Just seems like, really cool guy, a little bit of humor in there. I think he's kind of been off and on. I saw a Facebook post recently where he said, he was back and looking for game suggestions. It was just one I just happened to look at. It was probably reviewing a game I wanted to see. Just, really enjoyed his. And, I mean, one that's a huge, bigger one, which, we normally won't mention in these sections, like AVGN. I will say, out of his, I've been watching some of his ones on his book reviews, which has just been really cool, because he's got a lot of the same books that I have, as far as, like, horror books. And he did a line up of, we all had these in our school library. I can't remember the name, but they had orange binders on them. The cover would be orange, and they all had different monsters. It's where a lot of us first read about a lot of the classic monsters, because they had one for, Wolfman, Dracula, Mummy, Phantom. Then you'd have your, Godzilla. You might even have a Bigfoot, or, things like Loch Ness. It was a whole series of them. School libraries, regular libraries. They were just such a treat as an age. So I've been enjoying watching his non-video game related stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of YouTubers that's hit a milestone, I do want to say big congratulations to Happy Console Gamer. He just hit over 100,000 subscribers. And one of the reasons why I wanted to go ahead and say congrats for that, because, Johnny and Robin's been big supporters of our show and YouTube and stuff. And we've had Robman, he was our first guest, our first official guest, not counting you, James, but our first official guest on Excess Gaming. And, it was kind of funny, because back then, I didn't really know them. I only knew them from their YouTube, and I knew there were bigger YouTubers, and I didn't think that they were going to be. I don't want to say I didn't think they were going to be as cool, because that sounds kind of pompous. I didn't realize that, because you meet people sometimes outside of that element, and sometimes they can be different, and you always had that speculation, when you first talk to someone, but they're nothing like that. Like, they're just as genuine on their videos as they are in real life, And I know I've talked to Johnny a couple of times on Facebook, and it's just really cool. So I definitely want to say congratulations to those guys, because they definitely deserve it, and cheers to many, many more.
Definitely good ones. Another one, Jerry McDougald of Top Tier Games.
Oh yeah.
Another friend of the show, posted a lot on the page. Great guy. I've talked to him about some personal matters, and I really appreciate that dude. He's just been a really awesome dude, and I owe him a stack of PSP games, which I've supposed to been sending him for a very long time, and they're still coming, my friend. As it takes longer, I just put more in it because I feel like a douche. But they will be coming, and I know he only has a few PSP games, so whatever I send is going to be, welcome. Some will be awesome, some will be horrible, but just Top Tier Games, another good one to check out also.
Yeah, I've been on his podcast a couple times. I'm supposed to be coming back on his show very soon, talking more about Castlevania, mainly Castlevania 1. And, he's changing his format a little bit of his show, and it's really, really cool. What I like about his podcast is, for the past podcasts that he's done with Top Tier Games, is they review and focus on one game, and they talk about that game, and while they're talking about it on their YouTube channel, they're showing gameplay of that game, like a Let's Play. So you got something to look at while you're listening to, and especially if it's a game that maybe you never played, or maybe you're not too familiar with, you're getting the full aspect of it. You're getting the, sound and the visual of that game. You're hearing the experience from the player, and you're watching it on the screen. I think that's a really cool little formula, and I'm looking forward to many more. He does his I know he does his podcast in seasons, and I think this is season 2, and I think it's wrapping up. I think it's going to wrap up in July. Don't quote me on that, but I'm looking forward to many more seasons. He's definitely got something good going for him. So, and yeah, I met Jerry McDougal through the Happy Console Gamer group page, and he's been a good friend for probably like almost over 2 years now. It's really weird how time flies. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's like you can meet people. It's amazing how many friends we have that we've never met in person, maybe other than like a Skype conversation, but a physical, hey, handshake and hug, how you doing? But it's amazing the people you can meet that actually become friends without ever having been standing in the same room. It's a really amazing thing.
Yeah, definitely. So just to wrap up this segment, and this is something we're going to be doing, I'm going to try to do this in every episode, and that's talking about different YouTubers. Definitely check out Power Metal Gamer, Jerry McDougal with Top Tier Game Reviews, also Robert, Your Geeky Tipster, check them out as well. And what was the other one you mentioned, James?
Well, I had mentioned AVGN, I think. Non-game related ones, the book series and stuff. If you've avoided those, check them out. They're still great. I know he doesn't need a plug for anything, but still, it's cool to watch.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, if you guys are listening to this show and you're also starting up a YouTube channel, or you have a YouTube channel, maybe you have a podcast as well, feel free to join the Excess Gaming Podcast group page on Facebook and share your content. That's one of the things that I really, really try to do with this group page. It's a community. All of us share. It's not just about Excess Gaming. And we have artists on the group page that do stuff like cosplays, like AFK cosplay. My friend Candace and her husband Nick, they do some really, really great cosplay work and props. And we of course we have some YouTubers on there as well. So
Sarah Mortimer is another one.
Yeah.
Artwork.
Yeah, definitely. So I can definitely say to everyone that's listening, if you're not part of the group page, definitely join. It's a really good community. Lots of discussions, lots of randomness too. Mainly from Mikey. Mikey loves to. Mikey was like, "Dude, I want to make a point to post the most random video game stuff on your page." I'm like, "Okay." But yeah, definitely. So yeah, this will be a little segment that we'll do in every episode. At least I'll try to. And before we wrap it up, we're going to talk about games we've been playing recently. I'm going to start with you, James. What have you been playing?
Oh, with me, surprisingly enough, I have not played the most things in the world. There's ones I've looked at. I've watched a lot of Vincent Price movies lately. That I have done. Can never beat that. It was one game, I may have mentioned this last episode, but I don't. And thinking of Mega Man being on the Cartoon Network or Nicktoons, I picked up a really cheap DS game called Generator Rex, Age of Providence. I had no idea what it was. This could be Cartoon Network's kiddie game. It's $3. And I've kind of gotten to where I like getting like crappy DS games and checking them out. And this one's actually not bad. It's pretty much a bit of a side-scroller beat-em-up. You can get new weapons, mechanical arms, lasers to go out, and you're fighting in a robot. You can get in big robots, and you're fighting over the. You get 7 different weapons, and you fight alongside Bobo. Ha ha. I don't know what that means, but I sat down, expected to play it for like a level, and be like, eh. I sat there for quite a while. Very fun game, very cheap. Played a little bit of NES recently, as I'd got a few new games, and I decided to pop in roller games for some reason. I've had for a bit. Holds a special place in my childhood. Me and a friend of mine used to rent it, and yeah, if you remember the roller game show, it was kind of like a roller derby. They had a big ramp and an alligator pit that nobody ever fell in. But in this one, you're fighting in the streets against bad rollerblade gangs, and
sounds fun.
It's pretty much a bit of a beat 'em up. It's a cheap one. I paid $5. It's probably that or less. It's made by Ultra, so
oh nice.
It'll be pretty decent. It may be simultaneous player. I'm not exactly sure. I just know we played it a lot. You run through a city. Looks kind of like Double Dragon, but you have a few manholes and ramps and things to avoid in your skateboards, people throwing things at you. It's not a bad game. I had not played it in years. I picked it up and I said, man, this will be great. Another one too, still been playing some Conquest of the Crystal Palace. And this one actually was recently featured, I believe, on the Gaming Historian channel.
Oh, that's the NES game, right?
Yeah.
That's a fantastic game.
It really is. I debated, the place I shop at, sometimes too, they have, just the reasonable, fair price. Sometimes things might be a little over, some are under. This was one that was about $16, and I debated it, but I had heard it recently on a couple of different podcasts, just people mentioning it. And I was like, this game's gotta be alright. It's made by Asmik. More famous for their little purple dinosaur mascot, usually. But, you start off, it's kind of like a Japanese game. It looks like one where you could jump into the clouds, like a lot of those are. But, you can go through, you can level up in shops. If you go to the shop, you can get news bulletins about what's going on, extra lives, new weaponry. And the cool feature is you have a dog you can summon. And, a newer game would probably be hit up and down and select and B, and your dog will appear. I've yet to find out how to figure the dog appears yet. It just hasn't happened. So it goes to show you old games can be tricky. But very fun. It's a little frustrating because as you get hit, you get knocked backwards.
Oh, I hate that.
Kind of like a Belmont. But usually if you die, you can kind of you have to learn the stage a little bit to see where those flying birds are going to come from, so you can wait till they go by before you make the jump, or you'll die. Doesn't seem to be incredibly hard, but just really fun game, and, after playing it, I didn't mind paying the price that I did. I found recently a couple of old, Sammy games, who I didn't even really know made games back in the Nintendo area. I have one I believe it's a ninja game. Might be like a Ninja Warriors, or it's kind of similar to the string that came out around Ninja Gaiden. It's a pretty good one. And this one's called Thundercade. And you're riding around a little motorcycle. It's kind of an overhead view, like a Commando or something, Jackal. And you ride around shooting. It's a little bit of a shooter. And, it's really not that bad. It was one I snagged for like $3. Took me a little bit to get it to work because I couldn't find the alcohol in my house to clean with the Q-tips. But once I got it going, not bad. Fairly forgiving on the continues for a game like that. And then here's a mistake I made. There's a few Ghostbuster games. We had 1, 2... and there was that one that came out in Japan that was actually really good. I got a little confused. I saw Ghostbusters 2, and I picked it up, and I was highly disappointed to learn that it was not the Japanese one, where you have the team of Ghostbusters, and it's slightly puzzle-ish as you go around and try to capture the ghost. Very fun. I've played the emulator, but no, I got the crappy Ghostbusters 2, which is a lot like Ghostbusters 1. And it's just better left not to talk about that.
What system did you get it for?
These are all NES ones.
Okay. Yeah, because, have you ever played the Ghostbusters game on the Master System?
Oh, wow. I have, but I don't remember what it's like.
There's probably a reason for that.
It's probably anything that's like the old, like the David Crane from the Atari to the NES to those all stayed not favorites of mine. They were just, they were better left unsaid. That Japanese one is outstanding, though.
Same thing with Back to the Future on the Super Famicom. It's really good.
They did.
It's a lot better than the NES version.
It's amazing how that happened.
It's really funny. Now, have you played anything else?
Played a little bit of Knight Rider.
Nice.
Not that great. Wonderful clean game. Played it for a little bit. I might pick it up. And then finishing up with Predator. A gift from my brother. A great gift. And Predator, it still sucks. If you hadn't played it in a while, it's awful. And another one, because I've gone to the store and found a few games and hadn't bought any in a bit, and so I snagged some of these up. Boulder Dash. One of my favorite games on my Atari 800 on the floppy disks. Loved it. I pretty much buy it. There's a GBA version, a 3DS version. Anytime I see it, I buy it. You pretty much run around in dirt, and you try to avoid getting hit by boulders. And the character originally, he would sit there for a while if you didn't move and start stamping his foot. Kind of like Sonic did later on in life. And then the last one I haven't played it yet, but I've been wanting to. And again, I recently heard about it also on another podcast. It's called Jake Hunter, Detective Chronicles. It's on DS. And they're pretty much kind of like, an adventure game. I'd assume somewhat slightly like Deja Vu, but more updated. And I believe these were 3 different Famicom games that we never got. And then years later on the DS, we get all 3 of them in one pack. I've heard some good things about it. It was only $4. And, I've been digging that kind of adventure style, whether it's Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, games in that vein. I've been really liking, and I thought this would be a cool one to check out, and I might pop it in a little bit later today, and then I'll be able to talk about it a little bit more next episode.
Nice. Me personally, I haven't played a whole lot just because I've been working a lot. One of the things I can tell you though is a lot of people, they talk down on emulators, but I will say that I love emulation, and one of the reasons why I say that is because I've been out of town for 4 days out of the week, and I've been in a hotel room with nothing to do unless I want to watch Law and Order, because it seems like that's all they play on the USA channel. So I've been playing a lot of emulation using my PS4 controller. I've been playing some games, some Nintendo, Super Nintendo games, Sega Genesis. Nothing in particular, just picking a game and playing 10 or 15 minutes of it and just stopping, doing that. Also, big props to Retro and Limb Network, one of the networks, or the network that I'm a part of, and Access Gaming Podcast is a part of. They hooked me up with a free Steam game to review. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play of it, of Horizon Shift. And what's funny is, I've heard of Horizon Shift through All Gen Gamers, because that's actually one of the games that Jason Heine did the official soundtrack for. So, it was funny when they were like, yeah, here's this game, Horizon Shift. I'm like, that sounds so familiar. And I connect the dots. I'm like, oh, yeah, Jason Heine. So it's funny to see how small the gaming community is in some aspects. 2 different spectrums coming together, and I thought that was really cool. I played a little bit of it. I will be doing a Let's Play of it very soon. It's a very addicting arcade shooter. It's really fun. Very simple, but very addicting. I'm glad to have that. I'm not a big PC gamer, so with that being said, it's definitely worth buying on Steam. And it's not too graphic demanding. So even if you don't have the best laptop or the high-end PC, this is still a game that you could play and have fun with. So I've been playing that, and the last game I wanted to talk about was Splatoon. I'm going to be making a video about it very soon, I think. It's a lot of fun.
You get the amiibos?
I did. I got Squid Girl and the Squid Kid or Squid Guy boy thing. They had a 3-pack, but I didn't get a 3-pack, so unfortunately I didn't get the green squid. I'm probably going to have to order him online. But it's pretty cool because the amiibos, they unlock extra missions that you can get extra weapons and stuff like that. So it adds some replay value. Yes, technically it would be DLC, but it's physical DLC. You still get an amiibo at the end of the day, so that's pretty cool. But it's a lot of fun. The single player is very arcadey, very colorful. The online's a lot of fun. I know some people were turned off with the lack of voice chat because there is no voice chat, but the matches are only 3 minutes, and it is so spontaneous and so crazy, and there's really no strategy that goes with it. You're just, pretty much what you're doing is you're not focusing on killing each other. You're focusing on who can take over the whole map with your color. the whatever color your ink is. That's basically what it is. So I mean, to me, voice chat is kind of redundant for this kind of game. I know some people are like, oh, but I want to talk to my teammates and figure out a plan. More power to you, but it's not a break it kind of thing for this game. I never played the online. I was like, man, I really wish I could be like talking to someone and being like, hey, I'm over here on top of this thing shooting ink. I never felt that. I never felt that the whole time I played. So I do definitely recommend it. I definitely would say pick it up. It's a really, really fun game. But that's about all I've been playing.
I would recommend, too, I've heard recently about a pretty sweet Humble Bundle for 3DS and Wii U. Don't know all the games on it. I know Guacameele's on there.
Oh, fantastic game.
SteamWorld Dig and Gunman Clive, which I know are all awesome games. And I think there's a total of it seems like to be about 10 games. The Humble Bundle's kind of like, pay what you want, and it helps. I believe a charity, and then, some money goes to the creators. But they had a really lot of cool stuff on it, and it seemed like a really sweet deal.
Definitely. Well, guys, this is going to conclude another episode of Excess Gaming Podcast. And again, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening. Be sure to check out more content on my YouTube channel as youtube.com/XanderScullion. Also, big shout out to I Got Gameplay. I haven't been on an episode of I Got Gameplay for a while now just because of my scheduling, but fantastic podcast with Michael Burhan and some other co-hosts that change frequently, some of them being like Lawn Boys Post 1975, Travis Goss, some of those people. Definitely really, really cool bunch. Check them out. That's on the RetroUnlimNetwork.com. And one more thing before I forget, and I've already forgot it. I'm trying to remember everything. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to be about it right there. Definitely thanks for listening, and as always, happy gaming.
Have a pleasant evening, everybody.